So what we're gonna do is just change the starter on this 09 328i BMW. That's the starter. Let's put that back here again. I got the whole box right there off. That's the box for the cabin filter. It has screws, whole bunch of stuff. I have videos on how to do that. But anyways, right now what I want to do is I want to take off this brace. I want to start off by taking off the brace. So to take out the brace, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go over here. You're gonna turn this guy. All you need is a flathead screwdriver or something similar to that. And this guy should come off. Let's put this somewhere safe. Okay, inside there we got a inward torque similar to this, but you probably can put a 14mm on it, and I'm gonna go get tools for that. Okay, so here it is. Let's take this guy off. Oops. I don't want to strip it. Got the wrong size on. Okay, so 11mm should work really good on this guy. Really good. So once you take this off, we're gonna loosen that one. So with this, what I want to do is loosen this up. Just loosen it. So I just loosened it a bit. Okay, a few threads, and after that we should be able to slide this guy right off. Let's put that to the side. Alright, so we have access to a lot of stuff here. So we're gonna do a few things. We're gonna take off this whole thing right here, and so take this screw off, this Allen here, this should come off, and then this is a aftermarket fuse box. So you're gonna have two 10mm bolts here, 1, 2. Take off this little connector here, take off the sensor here, and you should be able to take out just this air box just alone by taking off these two and removing that. Okay, so this comes off, this comes off completely. And once you take this off, you should be able to remove this guy. Just put it right here with the screws right next to it. Next, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go get a flathead screwdriver. So you could take it off over here, or you could just go, because you're gonna be taking out the whole thing. You can even go further, but what I like to do is let's go step by step. We go here first. Okay, how am I gonna hold that with the camera in my hand, buddy? Why would you go back down like that? Anyways, go slowly and gently, because if you put pressure on it, it will fall down. Anyway, once that's loose, we're gonna take off this. All right, so your original box will have 10 here and 10 there, 10mm. And once that's out, I should be able to, with both hands, remove this guy. Just like that. Put it to the side. Keep the screws with it, obviously. You can simply just take this and do that to it. See what I did? Bada bing, bada boom. And let it just sit there. If you want, you could take it off right there too. Just don't let it break. And next step, let's take off the 10 here and 10 there. And this is our power steering reservoir here. Let me grab my light. You can lift this guy up, and this is gonna give you a lot of clearance. Just let it sit over here and try to keep it straight as possible, because you don't want it dripping out. And what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna go a little bit further. We're gonna take off this little guy also. Okay, from down here, I want to show you, you can also, without taking off anything here, just take off the top cover. You're able to take off a crank sensor from right here. If you ever come across that your car doesn't start and you need to take out your crank sensor, all you need is a long extension with the proper size tool. I'll show you what tool you're gonna need in this video, And also I will show you survival, and I'll show you exactly where the component is. And also you have a knock sensor in there. If you ever get a code for a knock sensor, you're probably gonna have to take off the intake, and unless you have really skinny hands and arms, but I doubt it. So a knock sensor is in there also. So that's out. This is my next step. I'm gonna take this off, and then I'm gonna come back. This is gonna be a little bit tough, but it's already moving, but I need both of my hands to get this thing off. I'm gonna have to loosen up that a little bit more. Okay, so what I want to do here is there's two ways you could take off the starter on this vehicle. I am going to proceed with without taking out the intake, but what if you want to do take out the intake, I would suggest you take out this vacuum line right here. You don't want to damage this little guy. Disconnect the sensor here, disconnect this here, and disconnect the throttle body. And you see all this kahuna down here, there's two bolts, one here, one on the opposite side. This whole thing just drops down. Take out your oxygen sensor. I am gonna have to disconnect both of these oxygen sensor because the harness goes through it. Down in the back you have more vacuum lines in the inside. All the way in there, there's a couple of vacuum lines you have to take, the one you can see right there. And the whole thing should just come forward this way. It's a big job, but you can get it done. Once I have everything out, I'll give you a little preview of that. Okay, so don't forget to take off the screw for this fuel line right here. It goes right there. So I did take off the bolt of the starter, as you can see all the way down there. It's hard to get to, hard to see. It's sitting right there in the transmission. And I used the number 11 wrench. You can use it, but try to use the inward socket. Those are the sockets that are like they're like torque, but the other way around. And from right down here you can reach another bolt from right down here, and it has 13 millimeter on the starter, and it got the white cable we checked over there is on the starter. It's just a push clip, just like this one right here for the sensor over here. So you just push down on the tab. All right, and then you do have vacuum lines. What I did was I took off the vacuum line that side, the vacuum line that goes in the back of the valve cover, and that's all attached. Those, so you don't have to take off two, you take off one. It does have a few connectors on here, and this is the only problem it gave me. That little guy does not want to come out. That's why I'm just trying to fish it out from right over here. So that's what I'm gonna do. Make sure you don't drop nothing inside the bore, inside the block. You don't want to damage the engine. Pay attention. If you want, put new seals on. I would suggest you put new seals on. But anyways, gonna finish up the job, and don't forget to take off the battery in the trunk before you start the whole job, because you're gonna get a big spark down there if you don't. Okay, to start off this job, we're gonna go into the trunk. We are gonna move all this stuff out of the way, and right in here you're gonna turn this little guy, and you should be able to take this guy out of here. And right in here you have a battery. I'm gonna disconnect the 10 here, and that way there's no power to the starter, and we do not blow any fuses. Okay, make sure you put your window down, because then you're not gonna have no access to inside the vehicle. Come on, little guy. What the hell? Okay, that's it. We got that off. Leave it off. The car is dead pretty much. Okay, so I was able to pull out the starter. Here's our starter, and here's our new starter. Customer went and got it, and let's see if he got bolts with it, because I do not use old bolts on the new starter, because the fact is they do stretch. Okay, let's just make sure you want to check everything on it. The gears, make sure they look same, count the gears, and make sure the wiring, the connector, the harness, everything looks good. And let's take this off right now, so we don't have to do it inside. But anyways, here's a little bolt that was in the bottom over here on the starter. So I'm gonna put this in. But like I said, I was telling you about the crank sensor. The crank sensor is located right down there, You can see it right down there, and it's a T10 connector. Everything comes off, and the knock sensor is right there. Everything's right there. Easy to take off stuff. And your crank sensor, if the vehicle doesn't start, you could fish it from right there. You don't have to remove anything, probably just the cover on the top, and that's about it. Thank you for watching, guys. I'm gonna reverse the procedure. Everything goes back in. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Plug everything back in just the way you took off. Okay, guys, I got the starter done. It took me 10 minutes to get that starter locked in. Put the bolt in, tighten it a little bit, snug it, and then tighten it. Torque spec. Don't have the torque specs, to be honest with you, but there's the old starter. So if you got a BMW that needs a starter change, this is very effective. Okay, you don't have to take out, see all the stuff I took off, the connectors and all that stuff on this side, the throttle body connector, the connector for that sensor over there. Don't take none of that off. Just leave it hanging there just like that. Take off the reservoir here and just put it over here. None of that. Don't even take off the vacuum pipe back there. None of that. Don't even take off any of the connectors over here. None of that. Thank you for watching, guys. And this is all gonna go back together, and we'll see you in the next one. Make sure you plug everything. Make sure you pull out the harness for the oxygen sensors. Bada bing, bada boom.